Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Hybrid Now. Today we're going to do a little bit of a POV drive in the new Toyota Prius. Have a new camera set up. We'll see how it works. I have you guys on a hat. So let's go ahead, put you on my head here. Let's grab the phone so we know what we're doing. You guys can see what I'm looking at. Need to grab the keys. Go ahead and get those. If you haven't seen the new fob yet, there it is. It says Prius on the back. Your typical key fob, I guess. Go ahead and strap this thing on myself. And let's go ahead and get in the car. It's sitting in the garage where it is kept, of course, underneath the lift that I have out here. But let's go ahead and hop in. You guys can see how it lights up and all that kind of stuff. And you can see, first off, on the gauge cluster here, it's got the door open. Go ahead and get rid of that. Pop the seatbelt on over here. 249 miles on this car so far. Now, this is something I had to get used to. When you start it, put your foot on the brake and hit power. And it just comes up with a ready little indicator, as well as other things. But on that gauge cluster, go ahead and get the radio off. Don't want that on. Now, this is something else that was interesting for me. To put it into gear, when I first got in this car, I kind of tried to muscle this thing, pull it down. You don't do that. You go over to the left and then up or down, depending on whether you want reverse, neutral drive, or whatever. So we're going to go over to the left, and then we're going to go up. Screwed it up right there, and you can see the camera. Nice crisp picture on here. Looks really good. So that's it, we're ready to go. So we just want to go ahead and release the gas pedal and head off into reverse. Make sure I don't hit my poles over here. And you might be able, I hope the microphone picks up the sounds of the car. If you listen to that, you can hear it. Kind of a different sound it makes. Go ahead and pop the garage door shut. Now, let's get out of here. Hopefully without hitting anything. And right there, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the engine did kick on, so we're not in electric mode at the moment, which is okay. Let's go ahead and get out of here. You can see the camera pops off and then the radio screen comes up. I'm going to switch that to the readout that shows what power the car is using, whether or not it's running on HE or EV rather, or using the engine or whatever. You guys will be able to see it on the screen as soon as we get out here in the world. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do that now. Right now, we're still running on the engine, and you can see that there would be an EV indicator up here on the gauge cluster. Let's go ahead and go to the readout. To do that, you just hit the car icon and then energy flow. And you guys can see, hopefully right here, how the energy is flowing. Right now, we're running on engine, which is this orange blob up here in the front. When it goes to EV, you'll see power flowing like it is right now from the battery. We're still running on both, actually. So let's go ahead and get out here on the road. Nice smooth power delivery, whether you're actually running on battery power or not, it doesn't really matter. We have both. And we're still running on engine only, so I don't know if it's got to recharge a little bit or what. Gonna have a little bit of sunshine. Now, while we're driving straight here, you can see the gauge cluster, and granted, the camera is a little bit above my eyes, probably about 2 inches or so. You can see maybe like here. I don't have any problem seeing the gauge cluster. A lot of people have complained about that they can't see the gauge cluster because they're sitting too low in the seat. I don't have that issue, so not a big deal for me. Now, we're still running, it looks like, on engine power. So we'll see if I let off the brake, or the gas, I should say. We're now running on EV only. Of course, we're just coasting, so it's actually charging as well. And now, after hitting the accelerator, we're still running on engine power. So the battery hasn't really kicked in yet. I don't know if that's because the engine is at a higher idle or what. Now, pay attention to this rear motor. I have two motors in here, one in about the center, a little forward, and then one here on the back because I have the all-wheel drive. You should see the back one when I make the turn kick in. Right there, you see it light up orange. That meant that we're running on everything right now. All-wheel drive, the motor in the front, and then the engine as well. Speed limit here is 30. We're running in EV only mode now. You can see the orange motor lit up and then the battery as well, and the flow that's coming from the battery. When it's charging, it will flow the other direction. You'll see blue going towards the actual battery itself. So pretty cool. Right now we're running solely on electric. You can see how much charge I have. It would be fully blue if the battery was completely charged. I have yet to see the battery fully charged, so I don't know how that happens or when that happens, but we don't have any of that yet. Now we're going to get out into a higher speed. Make sure we don't have any traffic here. There we go. We're going to go on up to 55 mile an hour, and obviously while we're doing this I am more aggressively on the accelerator. We're running on engine only with a little bit of charging as I let off, as you can see there. And on the gauge cluster, right below where it says Eco, or where that blue line is, when we start to charge, you'll see that propagate a little bit. You'll see it start to light up and go towards the bottom. That's when you're charging. Right now we're just cruising along, and we just switched over to the engine as well as the battery, so kind of we're running on both there. But now as I let off the gas a little, I'll let off a little. You can see we're on EV only right now, which means electric. We're not running any gas until I speed up a little bit. We got a car behind me, so I need to speed up a little bit. But that's basically how it works. You'll get assistance from both. Right now it's actually kind of alternating back and forth between using the battery and then charging it as I feather the gas pedal, I guess, depending on whether I'm pushing on the accelerator or not, if that makes any sense. Now, another thing I wanted to show you guys is the digital mirror. This is the mirror, what it looks like right now without the digital part on, if you will. But let's go ahead. We're going to turn on the digital mirror, and you guys can see what the picture is like. I hope the camera does it justice, but you can see what the camera looks like. There is a car back there. It's pretty cool. I believe you can adjust the range of it as well. I haven't done that yet, but it's a pretty neat feature. I don't leave it on all the time. Matter of fact, I don't use it a lot because I don't want to. I have this fear that I guess I'm going to wear it out, or I'm going to put a lot of heat into it, because it can get, I won't say hot, but pretty darn warm when you're using it, like any camera that's going to be running all the time, right? So now we're running on EV only. Of course, the light just changed, so we're going to take off, and we've immediately switched to engine power. Somebody wants to drag race me here. There they go. They're going to pass me right there. I guess they won. I don't know. I wasn't looking to race anybody, so not a big deal for me. So this is what it looks like in the cockpit. I do have the windows tinted recently, so you guys can kind of see what kind of light source we have in here, what it's like to see out of the front of the windshield. Some complaints people have talked about, and I'm talking about reviewers, have talked about poor visibility in here. I mean, if you look at the back, there is a pillar back there, of course. I love up here in the front that they've given us these little side windows. These are awesome. They just make it feel like you get a lot more picture view out of the front of the car. Definitely a nice touch. I think we'd feel more closed in if we didn't have that. But it just opens it up here in the front. I haven't had any issues with visibility in here, although I haven't really tried to maneuver around anywhere that's very tight where I really would need to see well. So no issues for me. There you might have seen the charge kick in. By the way, it does say CHG for charge when it's charging. That's the regenerative feature of the EV system in this car. It will charge when you brake, and it will also charge when you slow down. So you may see that pop up here or there. I don't know. I love the features that, of course, you'd have to pay for later if you want to keep them. I'm talking about these extra services that Toyota offers as a trial when you first get this car. You can see on here, it shows the speed limit right there in red. Unfortunately, it's wrong. The speed limit on this road that I'm on right now is actually 45. For some reason, it shows 30. I don't know why. It's been accurate every other place that I've gone, but on this particular road, it's never been right. Of course, we have satellite radio and Wi-Fi and all that stuff that's also part of the trial. I'm not going to keep most of that, if any of it, so interesting to try out, but not something I'd pay for. By the way, we just switched to 45 miles an hour, so I guess it caught up. I don't know. Otherwise, comfortable inside the car. I have the steering wheel down just a little bit. Probably a little bit more than I normally would. That again is to accommodate the gauge cluster up there. Even if I had it where I normally would have it, still not a big deal. I can still see everything I need to see. So I think that's a pretty petty complaint on some of the reviewers out there, but not a big issue for me. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, kind of do a quick POV, let you guys see kind of what it's like driving from a driver's perspective in the car. Plenty of space, plenty of comfort, and plenty of power. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, particularly of this style of video. If you like this kind of thing or not, I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.